says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one who loves me is the one who loving?
I was at BlurCon this weekend on a panel talking about Afrofuturism, and in the room it was packed. It was a few hundred people in this room, a lot of young people, a lot of kids, a lot of little babies too. They didn't know the history. Like Dr. Sunyata said, you're talking about the Little Mermaid, but what about Yemiya? What about Mama Wata? Those mythologies are so much, or maybe they're real, so much more powerful, those stories. But the Little Mermaid, Ariel, all of the Marvel characters, but you don't know the origin stories of Thor. Before Thor, there was an African god with a hammer, who's telling those stories? And I remember studying Greek and Roman mythology in high school, like it was my thing. And I was so into the Iliad and Odyssey and Homer and all of that, and studying Latin. And I think about that now and how crazy it is. I didn't learn Meta Nature. I didn't learn all of the languages and the kingdoms of Timbuktu, all with their own powerful dynastic, stories that weren't told to me. I imagined myself, Helen of Troy, like to this day, I use the Trojan horse as a measure of how I move in the world. Like I'm always going to come in one thing and then unleash something else inside once I get in. But I'm like sad at the same time. We have to know our history because that's the connected thing that is missing. And the reason why they're erasing it is because they know the power is why they wouldn't let enslaved people read during slavery. And it's why they're erasing history today, because if we talk about the history, then we're going to live it differently. We're going to walk differently because we know that we don't come from people in the holds of ships. That's not our.
Something you said is very powerful. I don't think we should guilt trip people about voting, stuff like that. Even one of the calls earlier, Karen, was like the first question I asked young Black men, if you vote. I think that's not the way to do it. I think we should meet people where they are. You come with love. I prefer to just say what's on your mind, and then you tell me what you're thinking about, what you're feeling. And then if you happen to be someone who's worldly and travel the world like Sister Bell has, then you can say, well, guess what? Your world doesn't have to just be H-Town or New York or LA. You could actually go to India. You can actually do the things that I'm doing. I'm going to give you some examples how. So I also think that it's wrong for us to guilt trip people if they don't read books. I remember when someone first told me don't eat pork, I was offended. I'm like, look, man, I'm hungry and this food is good and this bacon is delicious. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Let me get to my conclusion about my diet. Don't condemn me because I'm trying to eat because I got a meal card because I'm in college, I'm on a financial aid program, and this is the first time I can get as much food as I want. You feel what I'm saying? So I agree with you, Sister Bell.
So let's talk about Sister Bell's travels, because I'm fascinated. 2 weeks in India, 2 weeks in where else were you?
Kenya.
Okay. What did you learn about yourself, and what did you learn about the world that you didn't know before going there?
Oh gosh. So it wasn't my first time in India. I've been to Hyderabad before, but this time, so I went to India to do a healing retreat. So I went to an Ayurvedic center. So Ayurveda is all about digestion, and I spent 2 weeks there. First of all, and I was in like rural India. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't in
with goats in the street. You got to navigate the cows.
I wasn't in my body. You know what I mean? So first of all, I am not a nature girl, and I knew that already. Okay, I'm a little bougie with it. I like really nice things. So being in nature was a bit of an adjustment for me. And then the process is called Panchakarma. It's really rigorous, and there's a bunch of treatments that you do. What I learned about myself in that process was that I needed the solitude that I got there. I don't give myself enough solitude. I also, and this is like for anybody out there listening, I really got to stress this, like I had been living in next week. Like literally I lived in the next week. Like today was gone. Like I'm going through the motions of today, but I'm not paying attention, and it causes you to ignore your body, ignore like joyful moments, ignore the special time with your family, friends, people right in front of you, because I was literally living in next week. And so I had to really bring my body and my mind back to the present. And it was a challenge for me. So it was just super interesting. After I left there, I went to Kenya to train women business owners as a part of Tech Camp. So for those out there who also don't know, the U.S. State Department has a program called Tech Camp, where you can go and travel to different parts of the world and train people on different things that you know and skills that you have. A lot of people don't know about tech camp, so I'm always talking about it and blasting it. And at this point, I've done tech camp in Oman, I've done tech camp in Lagos, and they contacted me to do this one in Kenya. As a part of this program, I work with many women from different parts of Africa, who all come together, women and girls. So we had a couple of like high school girls and then women. And this particular one was all about environmental. So it was all about waste management services, people who are trying to solve problems around waste in their countries. My part of it was training people on the business plan canvas and on how to pitch their business. One of the things I learned is that pitching is universal, meaning like we everywhere around the world, understanding how to pitch your business or how to pitch what you're working on, from storytelling to, anything that you're trying to get funding for, or even just understanding basic levels of sales is so important. It's so key to just your general like life experience, even if you're just trying to get a job. So learning how to articulate what you have is deep. Going from India in all solitude to going to being active, I realized that my social meter is fairly low now, and that I needed the retreat moments to be like, I was glad we had the event in the hotel because I can go like back to my room for a minute and kind of revamp energies I'm feeling, not in a bad way, but just you want to be helpful. And I am used to just like running on empty if I have to help people. Like if I'm with you, I'm with you. I'm with you all night. I'm up with you. And I think through all of that, I ended up getting sick my second week in Kenya, because I think my body was just like, okay, girl, that's enough. Like you have done too much. But I did get to go on safari. So I got to see like zebras and elephants and giraffes and just take it all in, and just like really beautiful. Kenyans take good care of you and they care a lot about. I also am equally annoyed with things. You know what I mean? Like, here we focus on capitalism so hardcore that everything moves a certain way. Yeah. So when you're in other countries, you're like, oh gosh, why is this taking so long? Like, like we could have solved this with 2 steps. Wow, come on, y'all. And then there's things that that are better. Like I went to the doctor while I was sick. I got glasses in India because I left my glasses at home. And I actually got trifocals. So I got like long distance, near, and then like it was awesome. I've never seen that in the States. So but trusting the doctor because it doesn't look like it looks in the States. But I got my test results quicker than I would have gotten here. So it was actually like a really just overall interesting experience. I was testing myself. I was testing myself to see if I could stay abroad because I wanted to shake it up in that way.
Are you better now 100%?
I'm better. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 100% better. We don't even know what it was. It wasn't malaria or COVID, or I got tested for all of that. I really think my body was just a little bit overwhelmed. Yeah. I went from the 9-hour time difference to 7-hour time difference. And I just been really going, even though I was resting in between, but still my body was going. So I think that, yeah.
Everybody got their passport? 866-801-8255. Does everyone have their passport? We have to have our passport so we can see the world and see how big it is and how small some of the things here we're dealing with. It seems like we're on this treadmill of racism and disrespect and racism and disrespect, when there's so much more to see and experience.
Yeah. I run my fingers through her hair as she smiles and says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one you're lusting is the one